Hello friends, welcome back. Securing your Angular and .NET apps with Azure AD B2C. Don't worry, in this video I will show you how to configure the Azure AD B2C step by step so you can authenticate the users securely. So come, let's get started. This video is part of the full stack development video series. We were building the Smart Certify app, that is the online certification platform, and this is episode 15. So now let's continue to our topic, Azure AD B2C authentication made simple. Let's get started with our Azure Active Directory B2C, and as we proceed one by one with the slides, I'm going to give you a realistic real-time example so you can relate to the slides that are going to appear on your screen. So Azure Active Directory B2C, okay, they are in short called AD B2C. AD B2C is nothing but the business to consumer model, and it's basically a cloud-based identity and access management which was provided by the Microsoft Azure. So it's mainly they have designed to handle the identity and access management for the consumer facing, like the customer facing application. So this emphasizes its focus on external customer identity. Okay, so this is just for your understanding. So I'm going to tell you a realistic example now, and as I tell the realistic example, you will also see the key features and aspect of the Azure AD B2C. If you have never done this before, that's absolutely fine. You'll have end-to-end details of Azure AD B2C, how you can do it. So the slides talks about identity management for customers. Okay, so let's understand some realistic example. Okay, so now you have you wanted to do a business, and let's say you wanted to open a coffee shop. Let's say I wanted to open a Madras cafe. Okay, like you have Coffee Day, you have Starbucks, you have so many Dunkin' and different coffee shops. Let's say you wanted to open your own coffee shop. Okay, now this is where the thinking should begin. So basically, when you open a coffee shop, what will happen? Your shops will be there across different cities, different states, or even if you're very popular, you can be there across the world, right? So Starbucks, if you see, they are originated from US, but I can see that in India as well now. So for example, in order to do that, who will place an order in the coffee? Customers. How do you protect them? That is what we are going to see. So first of all, we will talk about authentication and authorization. Okay, so before we dive into what this Azure AD B2C is doing, what is in simple authentication? Authentication is nothing but to tell that to validate who you are. Okay, that is called authentication. For example, you are an employee in a company, so when you enter that company premises, you have an ID card, right? So security might check your ID card, or then it will say that it is company name, your employee ID, and blah blah stuff. So the security will be able to see your ID card, your employee ID, and name, and he can verify that you're there in the company. So good, you're being authenticated to enter the building. That is called authentication. So in the real time perspective, you will enter username password. So to verify the username and the password is matching and you're correct, that is called authentication. The system will do wherever you go and enter the username password and try to sign in, the authentication is happening. Okay, now what is authorization? Same employee concept. You enter the building, but as an employee, can you enter every single place? Like for example, there's a server room. Can you enter with your access card? No. Can you enter to your ODC where your system is present, or can you enter to a particular floor where you're allowed to go? Yes. So authorization means basically to see what privileges you have, to where you have access. Okay, only server admin can have access to go to into the server room, though that is also he is also an employee, you're also an employee, but he has access, you don't have access. Okay, so that's called authorization. Now, why are we talking about these things? See, Azure AD B2C supports variety of methods. In order for an user to log in, okay, say you have a coffee shop, I'm a user, I wanted to register. There are multiple ways to register. Earlier, you should always create an account with the coffee shop itself. Like you have to give your email ID, your password. They'll create an account in their system, which will sit in their system. Fine, good. But this Azure AD B2C is beyond that. You can do exactly what I just described. Plus, if you have an account in Facebook, Google, Microsoft, Twitter, LinkedIn, so on, so AWS, so many different identities, right? You can use those as well. That is what the authentication advantage that the Azure AD B2C is providing. So if we look at this, we have the local support, like the local authentication, which is giving your username and your unique password that supports only in the coffee shop, or you use your Facebook or LinkedIn or Google username password. That's it, same username password, but you will be able to log into the coffee shop's website. That is what it is giving. Now let's say I opened up a coffee shop. Okay, let me give a good example. So this is one of our website, one of our full stack development. Okay, so imagine this is a restaurant, right? So I wanted to log in. So if I go here and log in, what it is showing whenever we use Azure AD B2C, it will show like this. This is the default template. Do I like this? Yes and no. Very simple, plain, right? I can use the existing one, but what this slide is saying is you can customize the branding. For example, let's take another example. This is also our one of the full stack development video series. Now if I try to log in, same AD2C, but you see the screen is now different. I have a logo here, I have something behind the scene, so I'm customizing this. So that is what the slide is talking about. So the slide is saying you can customize the branding. Okay, so that feature is available. I'm not going to read anything on the slide, but I'm going to explain you what and all is there. User attributes and profile. Let's take the same example. Let's say I wanted to sign up. See, this is called user attributes. Username and password is handled by Microsoft, but this display name, given name, surname, address, etc. These and all we can customize and collect from the user. That is what called user attributes and their profiles. Multi-factor authentication. So when I try to sign in, okay, after this entering these two, I can protect the user by enabling the MFA, multi-factor authentication, which means it won't sign in after that. It will send you a code to your email ID. Okay, so you have to enter that tells you and proves that you are only trying to sign in. Because if your username password is compromised without MFA, user will not know that they signed in. So those kind of features are also available. Now let's go to the next slide. Integration with applications, meaning there are plenty of APIs and SDK. SDK means software development kits that is available for this Azure AD B2C that integrates with various type of application. So you can integrate this AD B2C for mobile apps, for web app, for single page application like the Angular that we are doing. So those kind of things. A web app means like basically MVC, even for Java, React is for the single page. Mobile application also you can integrate AD B2C. From your mobile app you can actually log in using the AD B2C. So those kind of things are plenty available. That's what they're talking about. Now scalability and global reach. So let me tell you something. Azure AD B2C is completely free. Okay, according to Microsoft, first 50,000 active users, meaning let's say you have a coffee shop, the business started growing, and like say 50,000 people registered. Not all the 50,000 people are logging in a month, right? Maybe 40,000 people are logging in. Let's say your growth is expanded and let's say 70,000 people got registered or a couple of million people got registered. So what they're saying is on a monthly, if there are active 50,000 users, you're still free. 50,001 for that one, right? For that only a small portion is being built for you. Imagine if you have 50,000 users for your business, you're already making a lot of profit, right? So you can give pennies after 50,000 users, but that's not the slide is about. Slide is about the Azure AD B2C has inbuilt mechanism to automatically scale for a global reach. So all of a sudden your business picked up and let's say millions of people are logging and using, it can easily work without any problem. That is what the slide is all about. Okay, it's called scalability. Scaling means like increasing your load, and Azure AD B2C can handle it. Microsoft can handle it. Now, we have something called policy based authorization. So the user sign up, sign in, password reset, profile edit, they're all called policies. They're all inbuilt policies. You can also have your own customized policies, which other companies are using, big companies are using, so they can achieve some, SMS trigger, email trigger, phone verification calls, so many things we can do. But we are not going to see any custom policies here, but we can, it's good to know that you can do all of those things. Again, Azure AD B2C can supports with other Azure services like Logic Apps, Azure App Service, so many things. So that's also possible. Okay, so in summary, let's summarize. Basically, Azure AD B2C is comprehensive identity and access management. This is very important. Identity and access management. What does it mean? When the user does this username, password, registering, you don't need to do anything. Microsoft will handle their password reset, their email triggering. Everything is handled by Microsoft, so you're out of worry. Anything will not go wrong. Microsoft will do everything that it has to do. Okay, that's what the Azure AD B2C is called, Identity and Access Management Service. They're especially designed for the external customers, offering a range of features to help business build secure and scalable customizable identity solution. Okay, it's good for public facing websites. So any application, any business that deals with the customers which is public, then Azure AD B2C is the best to use it. That's why they are called Azure Active Directory business to consumers. Business means you're doing business, consumers means people, like public people who are using your website is called consumers. Okay, now I will leave the slide which has very good examples of what I described in a different way. There's a different example, but you can always read through the slide. Now let's get into the demo where we will fully focus on hands-on coding and configuration with the application. Come, let's get started with the coding. Okay, so before we touch into the portal.azure.com, let's go to this github.com/smartcoding. Go to the repository, and if you search with smart, you will find a couple of repositories. This is our Angular 19 application that we're dealing with, and this is our backend application. So make sure you download these two, and by the time you see this video, all the Azure AD B2C related code will be checked in here. So you just go here and download this using the git clone, or you can download the code. Whatever you wanted to do, just update the code whatever is in the main branch, okay, for both the application. And what are we going to do is, after you do so, it will be like this. Okay, so this will be your application which will have all of the configuration which is running. Okay, I wanted to give you a running code, then you can do all the configuration change to make sure it aligns to what you did. Okay, so this is our .NET API and this is our Angular application. Okay, I will tell you exactly what you need to replace, and we'll make sure that works perfectly in this demo. Okay, so now let's go to portal.azure.com. Okay, so you have logged into the portal. This is my main login. Okay, I'm on the dashboard, which is like the home page. Lot of resources are showing. I can show you there are many resources are here. Okay, now what we are going to do is we are going to go to the search. Okay, and then say, if you search with Active Directory, you will get something like Azure Active Directory B2C. Click on it, you'll see like these two options. Okay, don't get confused, we are going to see everything as fresh. Link means it's basically after you do, if you wanted to have some subscription enabled, you need to use this. So let's not worry about it. Let's worry about this. Okay, so let's gonna click this Azure AD B2T tenant. Imagine tenant means like if you have a home. Okay, you have a home where a very big building where there are like one home in the first floor and second floor and third floor. You basically rent these three homes for three different people, right? Three different families. Everybody you call them as a tenant. So far good, stay with me. Now similarly for Microsoft, we are all our tenants. Every single login is a tenant. Every single thing you do here is a tenant. Okay, we're all living under the Microsoft hood. That's what tenant is. It's good naming that they have done. So you click on that and you'll end up in this. Okay, basically in the basic you cannot change anything. We are going to create only Azure AD B2C tenant. That's why this is disabled. It directly took you to the configuration. Here let's do some realistic thing. So coffee shop, right? So let's say our coffee shop name is Our coffee shop name is Karthik's Coffee Shop. Okay. Now here I need to have a unique name that my customers will understand. So basically what I can do, Karthik. If I say Karthik, it says karthik.onmicrosoft.com. If I just leave it, Karthik, somebody has taken it. Okay. Karthik, how about Karthik Coffee Shop? Just exactly the organization name. If I do a tab, if everything is unique, see a tick mark came. So Karthik Coffee Shop. But we are dealing with what? Smart Certify application, right? So probably we should name something meaningful. So let's change this as so let's have some meaningful name. So I gave the coffee example just to, because I was talking about the coffee shop example, that's why I gave you. But we are dealing with the Smart Certify application, right? So we will say Karthik Smart Certify app, and then I'm going to name this domain name as Karthik Smart Certify. See, it's available, so it's giving a tick mark, and it's under my so it's basically this is under United States. You can actually change whatever you want. If you're doing it from India, do it. If you're doing from a different country, please do so. Okay, so I'm doing this, and then subscription, under which subscription I wanted to do. In this case, I wanted to choose Smart Certify app. I have a subscription like that, or I can put it into this concept also. But let's say I put it into the subscription to which I'm dealing with this application. Okay, so I'm going to put it under that resource group. I wanted to put under the same resource group, so later if I wanted to delete, I can delete everything. Or we can say under that subscription, we can say, so I can say like this, right? It's a meaningful name. So resource group AD B2C, that's fine. So resource group location is this, and then let's go to review create, validation pass, and I'm gonna hit create. Okay, now what will happen, this is a tenant creation that is happening, and it will take few minutes. Okay, so while this is getting created, let me show you something important. Okay, so like I said, every single AD B2C is a tenant. Okay, let me show you something. See, after a few minutes, tenant creation was successful, and I can click here to go there. Okay, I'm going to show you two different things. If I click here, what will happen, it has put me into a new tab, and it is loading it from first. Okay, so I will show you what is the difference. Okay, so it not only loaded, and it also put me into the Azure AD B2C. Look at here carefully, the one that we just created, right? So Karthik Smart Certify.onmicrosoft.com. But here, if you look at this is not the same one. So, but everything is looking blue, right? I think let's do this. Let's go here to the settings. Let's go to the appearance. Let's click on this dark mode and see. Okay, so this has become dark. It's too dark. Okay, I'm gonna make this dark. Okay, just to differentiate. So look at this. This is dark. This is not dark. Okay, how do I identify? Let's say I am here. Click on this this one. Click on this one, and then click on switch directory. Let me show you what is happening. So if I go to all directory, I have these many directories. Okay, basically whatever we are currently here is what is showing us current, which is Karthik Smart Certify app. Okay, now it got switched automatically. Okay, but basically what has happened is you can switch between your AD B2C tenant or your main tenant. In my case, I'll tell you what is main tenant. You see this, learn smart coding gmail.onmicrosoft.com. that is my actual main tenant. If I switch like this, it will actually take me to my original login. Okay, only in my original login, if I go to home and click on all resources, I will see these many resources, right? This is my original login. How do I know? Look at this. It is clearly showing my email ID. This is what I primarily logged in. Okay, don't get confused. Now let's say you logged in like this, right? If I wanted to switch to the AD B2C that I just created, go to switch directory, go to the directories, and here is the Karthik Smart Certify on Microsoft.com. So I'm going to put a star here. Okay, if I go to favorite, that will also list down here, so I can easily switch. So we know whenever this is black, we are actually on our smart certify, like the Karthik smart certified on microsoft.com, right? So that's why I made this as black, just for differentiation. Okay, now what you have to do, you can actually go here. This and all will not show. So this is how it will show. But if I try to see, you see this Azure free trial is showing, but in the original one it won't show, because this is a new tenant in which I do not have Azure free trial or any Azure subscription. If you remember from the starting, I was giving you a link, right, where you can link a ID account to the subscription. That's what I was referring. But again, stay with me, don't get into those things. You created a tenant, you came here, and you see like this. Here what you do, come and search for AD B2C. You'll see something like this, click on it, and you'll end up on the screen. So for good, and here's what we are going to do. Now let's talk about our application. See, this is our application, this is our UI. Okay, this is our UI, and this is talking to the backend. So basically we have two applications. So for good, we are going to register these two applications one by one and explain you what each application will do. Alright, so we know at a high level we need to register two applications, right? So even before we go to the application registration, let's quickly do this. Under policy, there is something called user flow. Click on the user flow, and there is no user flow right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create user flows. So the first user flow that we wanted to create is click on new, and you see this is the one which was recommended by default selected. Sign up, sign in. Basically, when you do this like login, right, you are saying a sign up. Okay, sign up is here, sign in is here. So if you click on sign up, it is taking you to the sign up page, right? That is what this policy is. Okay, this is done by Microsoft, which is pretty good. It's more than enough for a regular setup. So you click on this, click on recommended, click on create. If you notice this is prefix, you cannot change it, but we are going to name something here, which is smart certify underscore sign up, sign in. I suggest use the lowercase, do not use the uppercase or camel case or Pascal case. Use just the lowercase. Now, by default, we do not have any other identity provider, meaning we do not have any setup for Google, we do not set up for LinkedIn, so and so. Whatever we discussed, we have to set up from first. We haven't set up anything. So the only option for user to register is using their email sign up. So we are going to click on the email sign up, which means if I'm a user, I come here. For example, if you are a user, okay, you come on, click on sign in. See, there is only option for you to sign in or register, correct? But look at this application. This was one of our full stack development application where if you try to sign, so this is one of our full stack application, right? If you try to sign in, I have already configured Google as an identity provider. That's why other than sign up, you see this, I have set up this identity provider for Google. That's why Google is coming, but we're going to see those things later. Okay, so I'm going to close this. This is only for your understanding. Let's go back here. So we are saying type of method, email. Right now we have other options, but email is what we are telling. MFA, I wanted to either forcefully on it or condition basis, but I'm going to switch it off because it's very annoying. Trust me, it will be keep sending you every time it loads when you are doing development. So I wanted to prefer to get it switched off. So it's switched off. Conditional access, you can just remove it. And here's what it comes, right? Collect the attribute. Collect the attribute means, let's say when you try to sign up, I wanted to collect display name, given name, surname. How do I do that? I have inbuilt given name, surname, and let's see what else is there. If I click, everything is coming here. I will also say I wanted to collect a display name. Okay. If you choose more, everything will be listed. You need to enter. Okay. Now this is collect. In the token that we are referring, right? I'm talking about a token. So I'm going to go grab a token here from this. Just wanted to show you what it means. So we'll go to jwt.ms. I will just show you what it means. So this is the token, right? So in the token, if you want some information like given name, family name, some name like display name, I want more. So if I want any of these user information embedded in the token, that is what called return claims. So I want display name, I want given name, I want my surname, the user surname, and I also wanted to know whether the user is new or old. I wanted to have the user object ID. I can choose that. Okay, but actually we don't need it. Say okay. So we know what is collect attributes, what is return claim. We're going to hit on create, and it's just going to create an user flow. All right, so the next one is similarly, the next one is the profile editing. So profile editing means if you have logged in and click on this edit profile, basically we are allowing users to change their display name, their given name, and their surname, right? So that is called profile editing. So I come here and click on create. Again, same thing, we're going to give a name which is Smart Certified Profile Edit. Everything is small letter. Do not follow the capital letter, Pascal letter. Do not follow the capital letter or the Pascal or a camel case. Try to follow only the small letters. Click on email. That's the only option for now. Email. Switch it off. And here's what I wanted to tell you. Instead of allowing the user to modify everything, I wanted to give a permission to only change the display name. And return claims, I probably need everything. Click on create. So second user flow is created, which is happening. Now we are having two. The third one is the password reset. Okay, so again, same thing where user is able to change the password if he forgets. So click on this email, enforce conditional. We don't need this. We don't need any return claims. Create. That's it. So for good. Okay, so we have three details of the user flows. Okay, now let's go to the app registration, and here, okay, so here what we are going to do is we are going to go to the app registration like this. Click this. Okay, so all application right now there's only one. It's created by the Microsoft, and it also says do not delete this or modify this. Don't screw up this. So just leave it, and let's go and click on new registration. We have two applications, right? So we are going to test this in the local. So which means we will name it like Smart Certify API, which is running in dev, or I would say it's a local, right? So local is dev. That's okay. So we can have like this, and then here is the important thing. There are three things that you can select. Basically, if the first one is talking about the users who belongs to my account, only they can log into the application. That is what the first one is. So accounts in this organization directory only. It's called single tenant. We don't want that. This is customer facing. All customers in the world are not in my account. First is false. Second one is any organization, meaning you have account, I have account, we have millions of accounts in the Azure. Can any of the users within those accounts alone can log in? Answer is no, because our customers are not part of any of these organizations. We don't know, like someone just who is in the world may not be in anybody's account. So second one is also not applicable for us. They're all applicable for business to business application. Okay, business to business is a different concept. So let me know in the comment section if you want to know more about B2B. I will explain you. And the third one is what we want. We want any identity provider or organization directory. It could be a Microsoft, Google, anything. That is what we want, and this is what called for authenticating the users with the users flow. Select the third one. Come here under the URL redirect. We want this to be a public website, and basically to get the URL, when you run this application, right, the locally running the UI, it will launch in one of the URL. Okay, so the application is launched, and actually it is running under this port. So if I click on this, you can see the application is launching in this URL. So basically what you do, come here and copy this, and remember it has to be HTTPS. Why? If you don't provide HTTPS, it will give you error. Okay, so use this URL and click on grant admin consent for the OpenID and offline access permission. Do a register. Now what we are trying to do next is the APIs, right? We're going to expose the APIs outside. So in order to do that, once you are entering here, we have to go to this expose an API. But before that, let's understand on the overview, there is something called client ID. You might have to copy this. Okay, copy this client ID. I will show you from where to do, but basically you need this and you need this tenant ID. Okay, and then let's go to this exposing API. Don't worry if you have not copied, we will do it when we put this information into the coding. Now here what you do, come and say application ID URI, click on this. See, by default it will give you a unique ID. If you wanted to keep like that, absolutely fine. If you don't want to keep it like this and have a meaningful name, what I will do is I will going to provide a unique name. So Karthik Smart Certified.onmicrosoft.com / Smart Certify is the app name / environment name. Okay, and then followed by I will say API. Okay, so this is what we are going to give. Once you click on save, that will become our base URL. Okay, so once the base URL is ready, we are going to create two scopes. Scopes is basically, so basically what is a scope? A scope defines what permissions an application can request when accessing a protected resource like API. So it helps enforce the granular access level. So we can actually say this controller needs this scope, that controller needs that scope. If the scope is not coming in the request, then the calls will get rejected. So just to granular level access, we can do that, and that is what a scope is. Okay, so for example, we are going to have two scopes. One is user.read, that basically says it reads all the user information. Okay, just for simplicity I'm just giving the same name. The moment you add the scope like this, okay, that will be added here, and admin consent display name is basically you need to fill up the proper naming here, and this is what the scope for the read. And similarly we will create another scope that just tells that it has write access. Okay, if a call comes with this kind of a scope, it says it has write access. We're just creating it, okay, not yet configured. So once you have this configured, like these two configured, what we will do is we will actually, it's created. Okay, so let's go here, let's copy this. Okay, let's go to this app registration, click on new app registration, and this time this is going to be a spa, like the front end application, right? So Smart Certify Spa application, which is the dev environment. Again, same thing, third one. Here you have to choose single page application, and generally how we run in our local host, this is what our local host is, right? So local host 4200 is the port. So far good. Okay, and then click on grant admin and then click on register. Again, this app registration also will have its own client ID, which we are going to use it in the UI. Stay with me, I will explain you. But what we have to do was, now we are saying, hey, API was exposed. We are saying this UI application has access to the exposed API. Like they both can talk. He can talk to that API asking for something, and that API knows who he is, and it will give the permission. So in order to do that, you have to go to API permission. Okay, this time UI has to go to API permission. Now here click on add permission, go to my APIs. It is not showing, good. So APIs under my organization, it is showing. Okay, so under API my organization, you see this is the one that we were looking for. The moment you click that, these two are showing, and say add permission. Okay, so this UI has permission to these things, and after you do that, it will add here, but stay here, it's showing no, right? So you have to click on admin, grant admin consent, say yes. After that, everything becomes tick mark, and this is super important. Okay, after you do that, at least we know that they can talk to each other. Now this is what the configuration is. That's it, very simple. Now how do we put this configuration into the coding? Let's open up the code here. Okay, go to the development.json. You see this instant name. Instant name in our case is, if you go to this overview, and here you see this is our instant name. So basically I'm going to copy this and come here and replace this. You also do the same thing. Okay, that's when you know how it is changing. Client ID, we are dealing with the API, so let's go to application API dev and go to overview, client ID, this one. Copy this, go here, replace it. Domain, again same thing, so I'm going to copy this, paste it. Okay, sign up, sign in policy ID. This is what the policy ID. From where am I getting this? If I go to this user flow, you can see the name. This name is what is here. And the two scopes that we created, right? Just say user.write, user.write. That's it. This configuration is done. We will just quickly see what other configurations need to have for the authentication. So if we go to this API, we have something called identity.web. You have to install this by the time you get the code, you will have everything working, but you need to also know what and all was required for this to be set up, right? That is also important. So that's why we're going through this. You have this API package setup, and then you need to go to this program.cs, and let's come down slowly. You have something like this AD B2C configuration. Okay, so I'm gonna lower it a little bit, and this is the code that is required, and you have all the codes already ready. It's all fetching from the configuration. So basically it will look for this Azure AD B2C, which is here. So it will read for this configuration, and it will be able to bind all of this information. When I say bind, it basically reads this, all of these things. Okay, now after you are done with that, important thing, come all the way through down. There's something called use authorization. Enable this, and then go to this controller, and let's talk about just one controller. Okay, so let's say we have, you may or may not get the exam controller because we have not done with the coding, but let's talk about something that you already have it. What do we have? Choice. Yeah, question controllers, right? So you already have question controllers. So basically what we're going to do, we come here and say authorize. We have to add an attribute called authorize, which means now this controller is protected. After that, we are also saying in order to go and read any of this API, it needs the token which is coming needs a scope. The scope should be there. It's reading from this under scope under read. So for example, let's go here under this, under this, under this. So it needs at least any one of these scope. That is what the API is referring to. So if it has, then all of this will succeed. To be very precise, only write should be there. We can add this attribute at the API level. It will look for write scope. Okay, now that's it. And let's say, for example, if you want any of this method to be anonymous, for example, let's talk about a real-time example. You logged in here. Okay, when you're here, when you go to course, let me open up this developer tool. It's important to understand this. Click on the course. It's actually calling an API, right? Correct. This is calling an API and it is responding it. But imagine this, I'm going to log out this. Okay, I have no authentication. If I click on course, again the API is called. Backend is still protected, right? How come I'm getting this without logging in? That is what it is, right? Basically, there are endpoints which are public, meaning without even you logging in, you should be able to view it. For example, if you go to Amazon, you don't need to log in to just browse the product informations are coming, but you need to log in order to add the product into your orders. Like if you want to place an order, of course you need to log in because they need to know who you are. That is what it is. So how do we do this? How do we make this happen in Azure AD B2C? So if you go to course controller, okay, to that particular controller that we are referring to, I am adding an attribute called allow anonymous, meaning this endpoint, if it gets called, this will override and it will skip the authorization. That is why it is working. But in the same controller, okay, if I have to create a course, I need an admin role, which we will see how to do it. Okay, so that is how it works. Now the admin role concept will come in the next video for Azure AD B2C with API connector. That's a wonderful video. Stay tuned for that video. But this is how you do. So all the codes are ready, right? Now this is from the API perspective. Let's talk about the UI perspective. So if you download the code in UI, and what we are going to do, we are going to go to this environment, and we are going to change few things. So environment is the file which is for the local. So see, it is pointing to the local host API, locally running a web API, and we have some configuration here. So we have to go to this Azure AD B2C app registration, go to our SPA application, take the client ID, come here, change it. What else? We have to change this one. Okay, so come here, change this, change this, change this, change this. We'll see how this is working. Okay, so let's even not worry about this. Okay, we're gonna remove these things. Okay, stay with me. So what we are going to do, we did a client ID replacement, and where do you get the scope? If you go to this API under the expose API, I can copy this and replace it in the read. So this will put me the right URL, I mean the correct URL, and then I'm going to copy paste it, right, paste it. You see this name changed, Karthik Smart Certify, everything changed. So we did only these change, client ID, this one. There are other things that you need to change. If you go to the configuration, you see there's something called app config. In the app config, we need to make some more change. Okay, here what we are going to do, we are going to do these three things. If you go to the user flows, right, we have three user flows, right? So copy this and paste it here. I already pasted here because the names are same. You paste it in the right place. After you place it, this will also be reflected here. If you look at this, so this is coming here, this is coming here, this is also coming here. There's one more thing that we need to change. We need to go to this one, copy this. Right now the code that you get will have like this, right? So like you have to change this, change this, change this, change this. So we changed everything. Here also we have to change. Okay, so we changed this, all the 6 places, and this one 7th place. See, Karthik Smart Certified.b2c login.com. Okay, so for good, don't worry if something I've missed it. When we run this application, we will encounter that issue, and after that all the other configurations are here. But just remember, for the course alone, okay, so if you look at this, see, whatever is important only I'm showing. Okay, under the course, the endpoint is coming from here. If you look at this endpoint URL is here, server URL, right? So under the server URL, all what I'm saying is if the call goes to course controller, okay, I did not add a get here, because if I add a get here, login process will trigger. I don't want the login process to trigger. This is coming from the interceptor from Azure AD B2C, the MSAL application, basically the MSAL of for Angular. So I skipped this. That's the important part here. But if you see the other endpoints like X for under the exam controller, get is also there, because if somebody wants to talk to an endpoint under the exam, for example, let's say under exam controller, even if somebody wants to talk to a get endpoint, any get endpoint, okay, even if they wanted to do so, this is a get endpoint, right? I will not allow them. So anyone wants to talk to the get the exam endpoint, I want them to be logged in. That's why here get is there, here it is not there. Okay, if you wonder or if you have any specific question, join the Telegram group and ask me those things. I will answer you very specific to your questions one-on-one. So don't worry, if you're getting stuck, just join the Telegram group and feel free to ask your question. All right, so let's focus this. So we are done with this. All what we are going to do is we're going to stop this and say run again. So this is running, and we are going to start this application also, because we changed all of this mechanism, right? Like the copy paste of the client ID and all of those things. So we're going to do this. When this is running, we will go to this local host and I will show you what is going to happen. So let's go and click on contact us. Let's go open the developer tool, click on course. Let's see what it is doing. So it is talking to our local course and we are able to get the data. But here's what important thing that you need to know. If I click on login, if you remember, we have set up Karthik Smart Certify, right? That is what it is coming, see? And right now it's fresh. I need to register it. If I click on sign up, so I'm going to click on the email address and send. Alright, if you see, I got the verification. So I copy this, come here, verify the code. I'm verified. Password. So I filled up everything and click on create. See, it is creating the process. While this is getting a process, right? So I got registered. I don't need this. Okay, so this is for saving, that's fine. But if you look at this, after everything is done, you can see there is something happening here. Okay, so it's getting some response, some token. Okay, so if I go here and copy this token to the end, go to jw.ms and copy paste. You see this? I got my first name, last name, and all of those things. And here's the one, SCP means scope. The two scopes that we requested is coming. Okay, so claims, if you see, it will explain you what are those claims, all of these things, right? Now here's the important thing. So if I go to portal.azure.com, okay, it will probably land me in the same AD B2C tenant. If it comes in black, then it's going to be like that. Okay, so we will switch to this directory and go to Azure AD B2C. Under users, you will see the user who signed up here. So this is the default member and I'm the one who signed up, right? You see this with the email ID that was created locally, and this is the identity. So I manually logged in. That's why the user is coming here. So this is how you will find users who are into your system, like into your business. And then if you can actually go there, you can reset the password, you can reset the password programmatically using the Microsoft Graph API, or you can come and do like this based on the request that's coming. Some admin or support team will be there. All of those things we can do, and we will also see those kind of things in upcoming video for Azure AD B2C using the Graph API. All right, so stay tuned. So we know how this is working, and let's quickly go to this one and click on this. And if you remember, only display name was allowed. That's why only display name is coming. I can change this, and if I say Karthik Kannan as the display name, okay, so what will happen? It changed, right? If I go here, go to users and do a refresh, display name changed. Correct? So this is what the identity, this is what the identity and access management which Microsoft is handling, including the mail and everything is handled by it. And I hope you enjoy this video. This is one of the good authentication which for the application that faces the business. This is one of the good authentication mechanism where the customer facing application can be integrated, and it's very secure. And it can also scale. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and if you have any questions, to let me know in the comment section. Spread this channel to your friends and other circle, post it in the social media if you like this channel, and if you have any specific questions, join the Telegram group and ask, or even you comment in the comment section. Alright guys, so stay tuned. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more tech tutorials. And don't forget to hit the bell icon to get notified when we post new videos. If you have any questions or suggestions, leave them in the comments below. Happy coding!